just so I'm following, only Emma calls you
Yeah,
Bill or calls you
pretty
William?
much. Yeah. So so people that I'm kind of meet are really confused because everybody that I knew
Right.
from before, they call me Bill. But like since Emma met me, then everybody I met, they're like, "Are you Bill or William?" So I always
That's
introduce
awesome.
myself as
So,
Bill, but she's like
all right.
William.
So since we're rolling, I'm going to introduce you. So this is Bill Ramey. This is oh my gosh, one of my oldest friends. Shoot, I think seventh grade is when I met you officially.
Actually, I wanted to ask you about that. I don't remember how we met.
Well, you got
Actually,
pissed at me because the girl that you liked, that was my girlfriend, I think, at the time. Yeah. I
really,
have a very vivid memory.
really. Oh,
But
that's a
yeah, no,
stream that kind of
we
seemed to
started hanging out way
continue
back in seventh
throughout high
grade.
school, isn't it?
Yeah. Um, so I'm gonna start by talking about a very, very big shout out to your mom.
Okay.
I told you I talk about sandwiches on here, and I'm going to continue that. And so I think you probably know what I'm going to say about your mom. She made the best strawberry jam in the world, the best, hands down. You would like sneak me a jar here and there. Oh, it was so good. It was so good, dude. I used to, man. You could like eat that jam with like just a spoon. It was so good.
It's
Does she
always
still make
good.
that?
I don't know how she did it. No, I don't think she does anymore. I should probably ask her to do so. But she came over to my house. So we went to France. For those of you who don't know, my wife is French, and we haven't been home in a long time to see her family. So we went to France, and my mom stayed over here, took care of the dog, took care of the house, and she cooked up all kinds of stuff.
Is that right?
Quite frankly, embarrassed my wife a little bit because when she got home, like everything was beautifully cleaned in the kitchen. Emma was
Nice.
like, oh my God, I'm kind of embarrassed, but super happy
So you
because
went
everything
to
was spotless.
Do you have dual citizenship then with France and in the US, or how does that work?
No, I am American citizen. So I lived there for 12 years and I had a
You
residency
lived there for
card. So
12 years?
yeah, it's
Okay. And I
France.
apologize. I'm going to open up my drink. I have a energy drink.
No problem. So
Nice. So you lived there for 12 years. When did you go over there?
2007. Yeah, I met college. My mom was working
Yeah,
at Nestle and she met an intern there, a girl that was from Nice, France. And she
that's
introduced
right.
us and we kind of just think
Yeah.
it was crazy, fell in love.
Yeah,
And
the Young story. I'm familiar. I had one of those.
yeah,
I
so that was wife number
absolutely had
one.
one of those, yep.
And so we moved to France, and then things just kind of fell apart. And yeah, so then
As did mine. Hey, that young love, right? That'll mess you up.
I mean, I don't have any regrets.
No, not at all. I agree.
Yeah,
And
and
then so
yeah.
how did you meet Emma?
Oh, that story. So it was
Did you
actually
say
after
bad
I
story?
no that no, it's a
Oh, no.
great story.
I
Sorry.
was like, oh no.
But so it's that story. So it was my birthday,
All right.
and I had gone out to dinner with some friends. So this was after wife number one. I'm living in France. She left
Okay.
me. I was kind of alone. I was kind of not sure what to do with my life and just kind of floating. And I was
Mm,
just kind of getting back into like, yeah, first divorce really kind of hurt. Or my divorce, my only divorce so far, but really hurt. I was really kind of in a bad spot, but I was just kind of getting back into like flirting with some girls, and I had some prospects in the hopper.
right. Back in the game a little bit.
Um, yeah, a little bit, and it was my birthday, and I had this one girl that I was interested in, and she worked at a bar, and I thought she was kind of cute, and so I invited her to come out for my birthday. She said she couldn't make it, right?
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, there's this other girl that I think is kind of cute too. And so since she can't come, I'm like, I'm gonna invite her, whatever. So I invite the other girl. And then that night, the girl A, she says, "Oh, I got I got switched
Yeah.
out of my shift, and now I'm gonna come." So I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be really interesting." So I'm sitting. and I know how to practice at this stuff, like flirting. I've been married for a few years, and I'm sitting between these two girls, and I'm just like kind of managing the situation,
Managing
and
the
like
situation.
flirting one, flirting with the other, but without being too overt,
Oh, you were
and I
overt.
had a
Let's
great
be
night.
honest. None of us are as smooth as we think we are.
Yeah, like, well. I mean, like I felt
All
good,
right.
yeah, but maybe not. Maybe it's better in my head.
Right.
So, so I get done with that. Say goodbye to my friends. I'm walking back to my apartment. I was living in the old town in Nice, and I'm walking back. And as I'm walking back, it's almost midnight on my birthday. I'm walking on the sidewalk, and this girl, she's walking the other way, and there's a crack in the sidewalk. She's wearing high heels. She
Oh no.
slips and literally
Oh.
falls, and I catch her.
Oh, nice. Smooth.
And
Nice
I
move.
catch, well, it was like, it wasn't even, it was reflex. So she literally just fell in my arms, and she looks up at me and smiles. And I'm
Wow.
like, hi.
Okay, that's a pretty good story.
And
That's
then,
that is a very
then
good
so,
story.
yeah, then we ended up talking on the beach till 7 in the morning, long story short.
Yeah.
And that's how we met.
Right on. That's cool. That's very cool. Wow. That's pretty awesome. Nice. I like that story. I appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to get into your diving because I think that's one. I think it's awesome. Um, so I'm going to ask a favor, and by all means, tell me no if you want. So as we're going through, I'm going to like, can I show pictures of like your Instagram and like some recent videos?
Yeah, 100%.
What's that?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. What about your wedding photos? Can I share that?
yeah, sure.
Because you have some of the most fascinating wedding photos. I think at least unique. Some of the most unique wedding photos I think I probably have ever really ever seen. Um, so I'm gonna share those. So, and I have some questions about them. Let me actually get this a little bigger here. All right. Tell first while I'm getting this set up. Tell us about your underwater wedding photography or your underwater wedding pictures.
So,
Oh,
yeah,
this isn't going to do it justice either. It blurred out when I blew it up. That's too bad. I'm still going to show it though. I don't care.
all right. So, yeah, well, at the time, I was living in Nice and so I was kind of specialized in free diving photography. And so, for anybody who's not familiar with free diving, that's basically diving while holding your breath. Nice, France is kind of the mecca. Well, it's kind of where a lot of freediving history kind of emerged, and it became, there's an organization called IDA, which was basically invented there, and so freediving is kind of a part of the history there. And I was kind of going out like almost 2, 3 times a week at least, and doing, shooting different athletes and spending time in the water, free diving.
Right.
I do scuba too. Now I'm more, scuba and sharks, but at that time it was free diving. And really, kind of the water was a huge part of my life, and vicariously a part of my to-be wife's life at that time. By nature, we were always in the water, around the water, on the beach, and so it was really important to me to try to build something, put something out there for a wedding that was really representative of kind of where we were at that moment, and spending a lot of time. And I do a lot of photo shoots for other people, like free divers. And actually, I would, like, people would hire me to do their engagement photos. Like, I had, women who were, had, were pregnant that I do photo shoots with,
Oh,
different things
sure.
like that.
Oh, wow.
Fashion
Underwater
shoots.
too.
Yeah,
So how
fashion
deep do you
shoots,
go
different
there?
things.
Can you see my screen
Um,
okay?
yeah, this is just below the surface. And
Right.
so we set this up, and it was, for once, it was me in front of the camera, and a really good friend of mine. And actually, I had a little crew of some of my closest friends that really helped out. There was a lot of organization to this shoot, a lot of planning, a lot of
How deep
coordination.
is
We
it
had
there?
safety divers there. It's where we were. It drops down about 120 feet
Holy smokes.
straight down. Yeah, um, because the reason why Nice is so good for freediving is there's the coastline. There's areas in the bay that just drop basically straight down.
Right.
And if you want to do deep diving safely, you want to have a lot of kind of headroom, safety room, so that you don't hit your head on the ground as you're diving down, or if
Dude,
you're
that's
down there, if you
great.
want to
That is
do
so
get to
wild.
some deep depth. And so, yeah, it was really something that was special. And I have to say that Emma was a sport because she was. So we actually to so with that wedding dress, it was like not a, it was like just a kind of a cheapo wedding dress. She modified it. She ended up
Well, I
sewing
mean,
her.
why would you do an expensive one with something like
Yeah,
that?
exactly. And so she actually tied curtain weights to the bottom of the dress so it wouldn't like
Oh,
go up
that's a
over her
good
head.
idea. Sure.
Yeah. So like you like the curtain weights down in there, and she actually went through and sewed them in there,
Huh.
and that thing kind of sunk like a stone.
I was gonna
So every
ask, like,
time,
did it pull her down?
yeah, so every time we
Oh
dived
wait, there's
down,
another one
we
you
had
did
to
too.
have somebody come down and come up and pick her back up. And she was just on the surface, just but she stuck
Right,
with
right,
it, and
right.
she was really brave about it. And there was a lot that went into that.
Hold on, wait. There was another one I wanted to show. Oh, that one. This one. Hold on, I'm gonna share my screen again. Yeah, there it is. Look at that. Holy smokes, that's a good picture. Like that. That's incredible. You know what that reminds me of? Well, you remember Splash way back in the day?
No,
Really, Tom Hanks and Daryl Hannah?
no, I don't remember it.
Oh my gosh, such a good like she was a mermaid or whatever. Anyways,
But I like the
yeah,
comparison.
no, that's totally what it reminds me of.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
really
cool.
cool picture. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
at the time I was really doing a lot, and yeah, and it was like I said, it was really cool, the reflection of kind of where we were, our
Yeah.
happiness, our connection with the kind of with the water,
Where was that
and
in the ocean? Right?
that was in the Mediterranean Sea,
Mediterranean Sea. Okay. Man, that's incredible.
southern coast of
And
France.
is that where you did the free diving videos as well?
Yeah,
That's wild. So
yeah, it
let
was
me
a
see
good
if I
time.
have some of your free diving stuff. Oh, I have some of your YouTube.
Well, on a sidebar, you know the reason why I started all of that.
Yeah,
The
for
reason
sure.
why I
Yeah.
got into it.
How'd you get into that? I mean, it's very unique and interesting. One day I'm like,
Well,
I'm sorry, he does what?
so actually, it started out of complete fear. So as you know, we grew up in Wisconsin together,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, we did not
when
exactly free dive a lot.
no, and I didn't have any experience in the water, in the
Mm-hmm.
the open ocean really. I mean, I'd been to Florida when I was a kid, and played in waves, whatever. But we'd go out to the beach a lot with friends, and everybody'd be swimming, and I was actually, honest to God, scared to death of jellyfish, and what if there's sharks in
You
there,
know
and
you're
what's gonna.
not, or you were, or you are.
I was at the beginning when we moved
Okay.
there because I just didn't have a lot of experience, and I was like, what's gonna poke me, bite me, sting me, or what's gonna come
Sure.
and pull me under? Am I gonna die? And I got
Oh,
a
I love
mask
this.
and started just snorkeling so I could see what was under there, and that really started to. So I love the water.
Man, that is cool.
I always had to be around water, but then I started exploring, and then I met a guy that was a friend, and he'd been in a motorcycle accident. Strong, buff guy. He had injured his leg, and he just, he
Did you say
wasn't.
he injured his leg?
Yeah, he didn't injure his leg in a motorcycle accident. He was really sportive, but he couldn't. So
Whoops a
he'd
doozy.
done a lot of different, a lot of different things. Well, anyway, he picked up free diving, and this guy was like bulky, masculine, not exactly the
Right,
picture of
he's a big dude.
grace, handsome dude, but not like graceful. But he took me out one day because he knew I was into snorkeling, and he was a free diver. And when I saw him underwater, it was the most graceful, amazing thing I ever said. And I said, I
Is that
have
right?
to do that. Yeah, I said I have to do
That's
that.
wild.
And he was later the best man at my wedding. So there you go.
How awesome. Very cool.
One of them.
Wow. And how long did it take you to I mean, you said you were pretty terrified of like fill in the blank ocean creature, right? How long did it
Hmm.
take to get used to going in and without any photography equipment and then including the camera and all that? Like how long does that take to train yourself or get trained?
Well, to overcome the fear, it was pretty immediate. Once I put on the mask and started kind of going after it and learning
It
more.
just
And I
kind of
think,
goes away.
yeah, just the fear kind of went away immediately. But actually, the freediving stuff, that's a constant progression. Anybody, and I think honestly, anybody can learn to dive 60 feet, almost anybody, and hold their breath for 2.5 minutes.
Have you free dove before then? Have you done it?
No, never, never even knew it existed. I didn't know it was a thing.
Right.
Um, so like within 2 or 3 days, you can get to 60 foot.
No kidding.
Yeah, easy. My wife did it. She'd never done it in her life. She held her breath for almost 3 minutes after a 2-day course.
No kidding. That's interesting.
Yeah, and that's kind of where, and I think a lot of people, if they learn to dive at least to there,
Right.
I mean, you take that anywhere on vacation if you know how to do it safely and get formally trained. That's easy. But where it starts to get challenging is, that kind of 60 to 90
Mm-hmm.
foot, and then after 90 foot or so to like 120 feet, that's where training and that's a
And
progression.
they'll dive.
Some
How
people,
far down
huh?
do they dive, or will they try to get to?
So in 2019, I was fortunate enough to shoot one of well, at the time, the tie, it was a tie for the world record dive. It was
Serious? Holy smokes! That's awesome.
131 meters, which
Wow.
is almost 400 feet,
Yeah.
maybe almost
Holy
400 feet.
smokes.
Yeah, that was one of my
Good
coolest
grief.
moments. It was so amazing.
How long of a dive is that?
It was about 3 minutes.
'Cause so they swim down. Okay, so with their breathing, because that's gotta change the deeper they go because of pressure, right?
They're not breathing. It's one breath.
No, but I mean like with their breath, like how they hold it and everything.
Yeah. So that gets interesting. So that's why it gets starting to get challenging, like between like where that barrier is about 90 feet and
Okay,
like
right,
about more around 120 feet. That's where things get really challenging because the pressure comes in. So when you hold your breath, you have a stock of air in your lungs and in your sinuses, right?
right.
And your ears are starting to compress. So what you have to do, you have to put as much air as you can in your lungs, and that acts as a reservoir.
Okay,
But what happens to air in your body as you descend is it starts to compress the volume of the air and it compresses down.
right.
And so at about 120 feet is where that compression drastically both diminishes the volume of air that you have because it's pressure under pressure,
Huh.
and it'll actually close off your throat. Pressure basically locks it
Good
shut.
grief.
So you can't get air from your lungs to your sinuses at that point to
Wow.
equalize because you have to equalize your ears as the pressure goes there. You got to put
Right.
a little bit back in to equalize that. So what divers do in French is called a captain verse. And so basically what it is you like force air. You have to like kind of like feels a little bit like forcing yourself to vomit a little bit in your mouth, and you force air back into your mouth and do a mouth fill at that
Right.
point. So you have, and then you blow up your cheeks, and that's what you got for the rest of the dive because you aren't getting any more out. And so
Holy
the rest of the
smokes.
dive, that's what you're putting back into your ears to do that. It's very complex. The thing is, like 60 foot, it's very simple. Anybody can do it.
Right.
As you get that deeper and deeper, deeper, the techniques um, get much, much more complex.
That's wild. So
And
why
you
the
can
Mediterranean
spend your
Sea?
life.
Is it like do people just search that out to dive there, or what's the call to the
Well,
Mediterranean?
Nice is specific because they have the it's called the Rade de Villefranche or the Bay of Villefranche, and that's where it's just deep and it's protected. So it's got calm water and deep areas where it's very safe to dive.
Oh, that helps.
So
Yeah, that
technically,
helps a lot.
so if you want to dive deep, you need to find deep water, and literally you can be on a boat. What I loved about it was I could go out at 7 in the morning. By 7:45, get to the club, get in the boat. By 7:45, I'm out in 400 well 400 feet of water
Right.
diving. Ride the
Wow.
rope back and be home by 11:30 noon sometimes, and then
Serious?
go about my day.
That's a good
Yeah,
day.
yeah, because you just
That's a
gotta
good
go. I mean,
morning.
it's like 5-10 minute boat ride to get to that.
Okay, so I was looking at your YouTube video or your
Hmm.
YouTube videos, and you have this octopus on here. So I'm gonna play this thing. Hold on,
Okay.
let me share. And you took this video, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. What were you using? Like, what's your camera you're using at this point?
It was a 90 millimeter macro, I believe. Sony 90 millimeter macro.
Some so it gets real. Holy smoke! Good. Look at that detail.
Yeah, I've
Did you
octopuses are
post
some of
this
my
anywhere,
favorite.
like besides your Instagram and all that? Did you or your YouTube? Did
Mhm.
it like National Geographic
YouTube,
or
and
anything?
I think I just did it on my Instagram as well. Um, now,
Man, that is crazy.
octopuses fascinate me. They're amazing creatures in real life, and they're so intelligent.
Okay,
They
so
will get them to play
my
with you
if I
and
don't say this,
interact
my
with you.
wife is gonna get pissed at me. She's like, "You had the perfect opportunity. You had your platform, and you didn't do it. So I'm gonna do it." She gives me shit about this all the time. So I'm pretty sure that octopi, right,
Hmm.
plural. I'm pretty sure they're from some other planet. I don't know how they ended up here, but I just yeah, they're way too smart just to you know they're they're quite extravagant creatures and they're so smart. Um, I could just imagine having a conversation with one, being like, "All right, sweet, good talk, man."
So it's
Yeah. So she
they're
gives me
pretty
crap
cool.
about that. She's like, they're not aliens. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they are.
I never really considered the fact, but if they were, it wouldn't surprise me.
You know, maybe they showed up with somebody else, but I definitely don't think they're of. I don't know. They're just. I mean, they're so unique and incredible. That's just. I don't know. It's so fun.
It's so fun watching them try to interact. Actually, I had one try to steal my camera.
You had one try to take the camera,
Hmm. Yeah, and
like,
the thing is, it was on a rock. Yeah, so
oh
I
my
was
gosh.
taking pictures of it, and
Right.
I think he saw the reflection and thought it was something that he wanted, or and
Sure.
it's got
Sure.
a glass
Okay.
dome on it, and he was stuck to a rock. Big one, and I'm taking a picture of him. All of a sudden, he just goes. He's got like I don't know how many, but half of his tentacles stuck to that rock, and those suckers are really strong. And all of a sudden, he
Right.
just takes the other half and he goes,
Oh my gosh.
"That's big." He just pulls it off, and I'm like, "No, that's mine." And we're like, literally, I'm in this tug of war
Wrestling over
with
it.
this.
So how big is it? How big is the octopus at that point?
He was a large one, but like his head was maybe like that big, and then his tentacles kind of came up maybe like here,
Yeah. Okay.
3 4 foot long, kind of feet spread out.
How cool.
But yeah, yeah.
That's
So
pretty
it was cool.
awesome. And then you recently went back to France. What'd you do there? Oh wait, hold on. Yeah. Yeah, I have one more of your diving things I want to show, but this is your recent one. Hold on, I'm going to come back to the France. So you recently went diving since you've been back to the US, right?
Hmm. Just this last
Okay.
weekend.
And I believe that's this one because I think this is incredible. So I'm going to share this because I saw this the other day. I was like, holy crap. Scared the it scared the crap out of me, quite honestly. I was like, holy shit, Bill. Like you're wild, man. So, see,
Oh,
I
that
don't know
one.
why the comments. I can't hide the comments. I don't know how.
Yeah, I don't
So
know
these
why
are
you did
tiger
this.
sharks. Is that right?
That's a tiger shark eating a loggerhead turtle.
Oh
And
yeah,
at that point, the
sure.
tiger shark comes over and says, "Hey, I think you're telling me to get away from it." And I politely backed off just a little bit.
So and how many? There you go.
Oh,
How
that
many?
this is a different species, much less aggressive.
Oh, what is that?
That's called a sand tiger shark. And while they both have tiger shark in there, this
Wow,
is a
he looks
completely
happy.
different. Yeah, they have snaggly tooth, and they're very non-aggressive. The other one in the other video, that's an aggressive, dangerous shark.
Okay, so
Um,
the tiger sharks back here. These are the more dangerous ones.
well, that's a nurse shark right in front of it, and then the big one, that's about a 12-foot tiger shark eating the loggerhead
Dude,
turtle.
that
So
thing is
that
huge.
loggerhead turtle shell is about 4 foot across for reference.
That is crazy. Do you ever have any? I don't know, any bad experiences with sharks? Any? I mean, obviously that's a close encounter,
Yes,
but I mean, like,
yes. I mean, I've had some not so pleasant experiences with bull sharks, so different types.
really?
But yeah, I mean, the thing is, sharks have. there's different species of sharks with different behaviors. And so just like with, when I put the mask on to learn to free dive and snorkel first and then free dive, what you learn when you learn about things, they become less scary. So, for instance, that first video was a tiger shark. That was both exhilarating and extremely frightening, that situation,
Right.
because I didn't expect it. Um, and it was just kind of stumbling on this 12-foot, you know, apex
It's,
predator that could eat
it's 12
me.
foot long. God grief.
Yeah,
How
probably
big? How
12.
big around is that? Like,
Yeah, something big. He's
good
very big.
lord.
It casts shadows when it swims past you. I'll
Yeah,
just say that much.
dude, that's
Um,
incredible.
but then knowing that, so and then understanding the difference between that sand clip, those are sand tigers in North Carolina, and when they come in and they scientists don't exactly understand much about them. They're very mysterious. But what we do know is that they come in for some sort of mating behavior and they enter a torpor. Basically, they just kind of shut down for several months out of the year and they just hang out on the wrecks out in North Carolina and they just sit there. And they're not aggressive. You can
Right.
swim right along with them. They're, they barely even, they might come over and just kind of see what you're about and just kind of swim near you, but they don't really care that you're there. If you don't, you know, harass them or
Right.
corner
Don't
them,
mess with
they're
them.
not
They
gonna.
won't mess with you much.
Yeah, no, they don't. In fact, they really don't care. I've had them literally. They're so lazy that sometimes I've had them come like where I'm in the way. They want to get like from this side of me to that side of me, and they'll just kind of push me out of the way just to
Like, get the
get
heck
through
out of the
because
way,
they're
man.
just yeah. I don't want to waste my energy swimming around you, but yeah, they're amazing creatures, and I will say though that this weekend when I went out, they were a little bit more spicy than normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of made me a little nervous.
All right. Maybe
Yeah,
they're in
the
heat.
males especially.
Maybe they're
Yeah, I
horny.
think the males. I actually I think that's what it was.
I mean, that adds a lot of aggression with most animals in life. Just saying. That's what happens.
It could have.
They just want to get a piece, you know?
Who doesn't?
All right. So I'm gonna switch gears a little bit.
Hmm.
So you and I actually talked last week, and you'd mentioned you recently, kind of recently, I guess, switched careers, which is, I mean, at our age is kind of scary, right? Okay,
Um,
for somebody like me, it scares the shit out of me because
really?
you and I took very different life paths, very, very
Hmm.
different life paths. Um, you know, we're both married. I have three kids. The very normal uh, American family um, type of lifestyle. House, cars. The whole thing. You are like, I'm gonna go to France. I'm gonna hang out for a little while, and then I'll come hang out in the U.S. for a little while. And you have like some of the coolest jobs. And I always thought when I was younger, I was just gonna follow the path you took. Now I'm the family guy. I was like, how the heck did that happen? Me switching a job at this age would scare the crap out of me.
Yeah. There was fear to it. Yeah, exactly. Look, and the thing is, I hear people talking about as you get older, it's harder to get a job and switch careers and things like that. I haven't really experienced. Yeah, so just to back up, I had worked for 20 plus years in e-commerce and tech. And as I told you when we spoke before, when I first started in that industry, I loved it because, you know, back in the day, it was building websites and HTML, and then it evolved. The whole thing evolved. I saw from when I got in when it started becoming like a really nerdy thing to build your own computer. I remember my first build. It was super nerdy and I loved tech. It was so exciting and it was
Yeah.
all about building things and new ideas and it was super fun. And after 20 years, it just got to be much more corporate, consolidated.
Yeah.
Big companies were kind of taken over and there didn't seem to be, I mean, in the tech spaces that I was in, it was just I was spending much more time. I led teams of developers and marketers and different things in the e-commerce
Right.
space,
Right.
and I was spending more time with lawyers and you know, you know, finance specialists and filling out reports and doing doing security work and
It became a
avoiding
lot less
lawsuits
enjoyable.
and avoiding data breaches and all of those things than
Hmm.
actually building cool things. And every time you think about, oh, we want to do this, it was just like instead of 20 years ago, it was like, why can't we do that? And now it's it seems like a lot of spaces it was more like more and more the answer was, well, we can't do this because
Right.
it's not it's not secure. And I'm a big security person. I'm not saying that I'm anti-security, but
Right.
it was just the space wasn't the same, and it
Yeah.
was less about, and it was harder to innovate and harder to grow. And I felt just kind of burnt out. And one of my somebody that I know, a good friend of mine, he one day I was sitting, we were having a beer, and he said, I was thinking. He's like, have you ever thought about working in construction? I said, no, never thought
Thought
about
about
it
being an
once.
OnlyFans model.
or, or selling feet pics or something. I don't know. Um, and he kind of laid something out, and we talked about it and just kind of batted it around. And at first, I was like, I don't, that seems like a lot of risk, just walk away from 20 years of experience.
Right.
And, I was pretty happy, where I was kind of salary wise. It was just the work wasn't as fulfilling as it was. And then the thing is, I kind of started thinking he laid out something that kind of worked with my skill set and, doing safety and some quality control business process stuff because e-commerce is really a lot about business processes and data and how
Yeah.
you account for things. And so those kind of translated well, and I get to do all their IT and marketing too. So I feel like I can provide a lot of value in this organization and be involved with actually building things now.
Yeah. For
And
sure.
it's so cool when I first started, I would be riding with the guys and they'd be taking me to job sites and we'd drive by something and every single one of them would point out as we're driving somewhere and be like, yeah, we built that. I remember working on that. And like, oh yeah, I remember one. And I'd be like, you tell your kids that. He's like, every time we tell our kids and stuff we built. They're just proud of it. They're proud of what they do. They're proud of building it. And yeah, and I think that's where I want to be is where we're building things.
That's cool. That's awesome. Good for you, man. Good for you. That's, I don't know. So that reminds me of, I follow this guy on Instagram. I think his name is Chris, maybe. I'd have to look or whatever. But he quit his job and he's sailing from, oh my gosh, where is it? Oregon, I think, like from Oregon out to Hawaii. Like he just quit his
Wow.
job. He quit his corporate job, bought a sailboat, did not know how to sail. This is what I'm picking up, like watching this guy, and is just like learning on the go, and he's documenting all of his struggles and trials and everything, and fascinating. I would
And
really like
he's
to talk to that guy.
still alive?
What's that?
He's still alive?
Yeah, yeah. He posts like every day, like a couple times a day. It's interesting. Like
It's courageous.
man, I should really see if I can find his this thing. But anyways, yeah. I really want to talk to that guy if I ever have the opportunity. But
You should,
yeah, it
because
just
that's
it
that's a
sounds like a
that's a
very interesting idea to just, no, off I go. It's something I would have done. It's something I still would do.
yeah.
Very differently.
What
I
would you
mean,
do?
with kids. But if it came down to it and whatever, I could imagine Vanessa and I getting an RV and cruising around the U.S. and homeschooling the kids.
Just doing the tour?
They'd be really pissed. They would be truly pissed off at us. But we do it.
Well, why not 3 months?
What's that? Do it for 3 months?
Yeah, could you do a sabbatical?
Maybe, or take like an extended summer. Dude, we'd have to figure out something with animals. We have 2 dogs and 3 cats. Two of the cats, how they're still alive, I don't know, because I mean they're awesome, but it's, yeah, I don't know. It's, I will say it is certainly interesting to try to figure out vacations and who's going to watch your house, your animals, your everything, and you're like, okay, but no. I have like my nephew. He's getting old enough to watch out. He's like, "Can I make some money?" I'm like, "Okay, sure."
It's
Oh, I don't know.
that's good.
I
Well,
I
it's
would
always
totally
peace
do
of
that though.
mind.
I
Like
would.
when you travel and you have pets and you leave them home, to me, it's I don't know. I feel guilty unless I can put them in a position like, where I don't have to work, where I know that they're good.
Yeah. Do you have a good like? Because you have a dog. You have an
Mhm.
awesome dog. I love when you posted pictures or videos of your dog. Like it seems like kind of like one of our dogs. Our other dog is a big pain in the ass, but the one is she's a real good dog. But do you have a good caretaker for your dog when you go on vacation?
Yeah. Well, now my parents moved down here, so yeah, I
Did
got the
they?
best. Yeah.
Right on. Well, she if yeah, well tell you definitely tell your mom to make some strawberry jam and send me some.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell her.
Dude, I'm gonna keep coming back to that strawberry jam. Okay. Um. So this is kind of random. Were you in? Where were you during COVID? Were you in France at that point, or were you back?
No, we just arrived here.
You just arrived here.
Yeah, we
So
just
what's
moved
the?
back. We moved back in December of 2019,
So
December
right when it
9th.
was like starting and
Yeah,
people
and
were
I
getting
think
scared.
I got it on my flight because I was, or somewhere around there, because I was so sick and I didn't know what I had.
Yeah.
And then I got over it, and then it was like COVID. So I think I had it
I was kind of
early.
curious what the difference is in like between France and the U.S. how they handled it, or if it was like pretty
France was
similar.
shut down.
No.
So I talked to a lot of my friends. They would like be able to go out at like night, and I think they had some sort of passes or something that you had to show that you could go to the grocery store. You could like go to the grocery store and go get your essentials and then go
Right.
home, but you couldn't like go anywhere else.
Hmm.
And
That's
like
interesting.
they really took it seriously.
That's very interesting. I don't know. So, and you never traveled out there, of course, during because it was shut down for however many years.
Mm-mm,
That's too bad. Huh.
no.
Just kind of curious how that kind of works out that way. So, all right, we were talking about kids and everything.
Hmm.
Okay, have you noticed? I notice this more and more, and I try to catch myself. But when you get tired, or when I get tired, I get cranky right away. My kids do the same thing, and I was thinking about communication styles because I'm on a lot of meetings. My job requires so many meetings, and sometimes now because the more and more I talk to my kids, I can tell like, you're dealing with something, or you're tired, or fill in the blank, or it's Friday. Fridays are stressful days are Fridays in this house. And I just want to like tell people you maybe need a hug. Like let's maybe a nap. Go take a nap for a little while. Like stop being a bitch. I'm not trying to be mean. This one lady, she just yells like all the time, and we're like, something's wrong with you, and you just maybe just take like a sabbatical, like you said, just relax. But I'm curious, like, so the reason I bring that up is you said you changed careers and everything. How does the
Hmm.
communication go from what you were doing to your new job in construction? Because
Oh,
it's got to be so different.
so first of all, before I get into that, I think just the way you talk and like you got that such a calming voice, I find it would hard to be mad or cranky around you. You've got that
I try
smooth.
up until I get pissed, and then I'm like, rah. My kids are
Oh,
like, you
yeah,
don't have to yell
okay.
at us. I'm like, that's very true. I don't.
I gotta poke you before the end of this and see if I hear your angry voice. It's probably just like an octave above and just
Right? Just a little bit. Yeah.
super calming angry. Um, so communication was one of the things that was amazingly different. So in kind of the corporate world, you're dealing, you know, I was working with some larger companies, larger
Yeah.
organizations, and a lot of people, and it was all very professional, very corporate-y, lighthearted jokes, jibs and
Yeah.
jabs and different things. And it was fun, but it was very surface level, and you always had to guard your words. The construction world,
You had to guard your work. Is that what you said?
guard your words a lot.
Interesting.
Just be professional. I mean, very professional
Mm-hmm.
corporate talk. I mean, just that
Yeah.
kind of world. But once you get
That's exactly my
into
world right now.
Yeah, construction, man. Those guys say what they mean, and they don't mince words.
Right.
If they got a problem with you, they'll tell you exactly what the problem is and
Oh,
exactly
that's
what they
good.
think of it, with expletives potentially. Um, but but I find it very refreshing. So back in the day, I had when I worked in e-commerce, my favorite client was it was an outdoor company, bunch of ex-military, special forces guys that
Okay.
made a, I won't name the company, but um, if they ever hear this, they'll know I'm talking about them. Miss you guys, and they were very much like that. If they were happy with you, they'd tell you they're happy with you. And if they were mad, they would tell you that they were mad, exactly how mad they were and why they're mad, and maybe with some expletives. So, but I find that level of honesty
Mm-hmm.
and directness very refreshing because I don't feel like I'm guessing if I'm understanding what somebody's meaning or
Right.
reading into it because it's just plain communication. Not saying that, you know, just like other communities, that all of them are expert communicators, but it's pretty easy to tell where you stand and what your problem is and how to work together to resolve the issue.
I think
Yeah.
that helps.
I mean,
I think that that misses a lot, especially in the corporate world, kind of like you were saying. I think the way people communicate, one, just be professional. I if you're swearing, I really don't care if you're swearing like truthfully. I just
mhm,
be professional. You don't have to yell at me and tell me I'm a piece of crap,
mhm.
but you don't understand that we're both doing a job and I'm here for a reason. I'm getting paid to be here. So clearly my opinion matters to somebody that's paying us. I don't know. I think I probably bring this up right now because I'm struggling with like two people and it's
Mhm.
like you have no professional skills at all. And it's not that you're obnoxious. It's that I think you're so far I don't even know, unorganized maybe is what's causing their issue. And then they just take it out on everybody else. I'm like, okay,
And you're just
cheers.
having a problem getting to the meat. But yeah, so you feel like you're kind of taking the flack for other problems that aren't necessarily involved with you.
Yeah. Cause I mean, it's not that like people swearing and whatever. I can have a full conversation, people dropping F bombs all day long.
Hmm.
Like it doesn't really bother me. It's when they start really like attacking me where I'm like, now we're going to have an issue. Yep.
Hmm.
Now we're going to have an issue.
That's when the conversation needs to be over because that doesn't help anything.
No.
To be frank,
All right. So what's your music nowadays? You jump into the car, like what's
struggling.
your go-to?
What's I'm struggling with music right now. Um,
Because I have a very controversial question. Well, for you and I, it's going to be very controversial.
okay. So I'm listening.
And
I've been
and some
listening
of my
to.
friends are going to think this is controversial a little bit as well.
So I'm struggling with trying to find some new stuff, and I've been actually kind of diving into some really old school stuff lately. I've been listening to two bands in particular. One is called Operation Ivy, which was an old punk band, which not a lot of people know about, but
Hmm.
they released one album. It was amazing,
I've heard of them, but I
and
can honestly tell you I don't know that I've listened to them very much, but I've heard of them.
sound system. And then I've been listening to Catch 22, which is an older kind of ska, like 90s
Hmm.
ska thing.
You've always
An
liked older
album.
music.
Yeah, Keys Me Nights, it's called the album. It's really, really good.
And
But I'm just struggling with new stuff. So if you got
yeah,
ideas,
that leads me into my awesome question.
okay.
So you probably got me actually actively listening to Simon and Garfunkel way back when. So, Sound of Silence. Who did it
Okay.
better? We're going to go Simon Garfunkel or isn't it Disturbed? Isn't that who did it, right?
I haven't heard the second version.
You
That's
have
how
not
out of
heard
the loop I am.
You haven't heard the new one? Yes, you have. Well, it's not new.
I
Really?
don't even know. No.
You can Okay,
Is it
hold on.
good?
Oh my god. Bill,
You can't
Bill.
play a lot of it here because
I'm
you're
I'm
gonna get
I'm gonna
copyright
like play
claims.
this and they're probably gonna like flag me. They're like, oh yeah. By the way, this is I whatever licensing thing I'm supposed to say. This is clearly not my video, so let's not pretend that it is. And I don't have any rights to play, so I'm just going to play like about a maybe a minute or less. That way I don't get any kind of crap from anybody. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, I'll turn the volume up too. Skip the auto insurance. Oh, sorry. Apologize here. We're gonna stop sharing that until that's done. Okay, here we go.
Interesting.
So then it goes on, and like this is when he really gets into it.
Yeah, I want to hear that. The crescendo.
Anyway, it's a good, it's a real good version. Um,
Oh,
so I'll tell you this. I think if you have time later this weekend or whatever, have a drink and compare the two.
okay.
See how it goes. That's interesting.
Okay,
It.
interesting. Interesting. I'm a big fan of Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, I know. I know.
Are
Yeah.
the OGs.
Yeah. The first time I heard that, I probably played it at least 3 times in a row after that. Like when I heard it, I was like, oh, I got to hear that again.
Okay.
And
All right, I'm gonna do it. I'm
yeah,
gonna
I will say mood based. I probably lean towards Disturb more than Simon Garfunkel. Mood based.
okay. Yeah, kind
Yeah.
of the
And it's
visuals are really
probably
sweet.
like that part I showed you, like that's further in where he's like really like into it. That's
Mm-hmm.
probably why.
We'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I don't know. So what's your travel like? I mean, I know you just went to France. Do you travel much anywhere else?
We haven't been like traveling a lot. Emma hasn't hadn't been home. Just well, a lot of her family's been over here to see her, so we've been seeing them. They come
They
in
like coming to hang out
pretty
with you guys.
regularly. Yeah, in North
You're a lot of
Carolina with
fun.
us going around. But we just haven't been out to see them. So, we went to see them, and beyond that, I take a lot of my vacation just kind of having people come through here, and
Yeah.
we do go every year to the mountains, the Blue Ridge out
Where's
west,
the?
and
Because you took pictures on the beach. Which beach is that? Or like where approximately is that? That's in South Carolina or North Carolina. The beaches
which
you're
oh, the
camping.
beaches, yeah, they're where we were camping.
Yeah.
Oh, that's out on Hatteras, I believe. So that's an island that's just right out, basically off the
See,
coast
that's
over
the
here.
kind of camping I would love to go do that just for like I don't like an extended weekend, something like that. I
Hmm.
I mean, we go out to Havasu. We go out a lot. We'll take the boat out to Havasu, and I don't know if you've ever been to Lake Havasu, but
Mm-mm.
it's a trip, man. It is. They have the original London Bridge in Havasu, and they have a constant boat parade in the channel. And I don't know if they call it the English Channel or whatever they call it, but
Wow,
it's that goes under the London Bridge and whatever. And on the weekends, especially like Memorial Day weekend, July 4th, or pick a weekend, especially in the summer, it is just a constant parade of boats just going through, and then you go out to the lake and on the river. It's awesome.
beautiful. Are
Yeah.
you going out this weekend?
We're gonna go out this summer. Yeah, yeah, we're gonna go out for like 4 day weekend or something like that. And it's so cool. Like the people are so nice. Like we moored up to the side our first time, and a pontoon came up, and like another boat, and like it was a really very fancy boat that pulled up next to us, and they hung out, and we had some beers and just chatted and talked, and it was cool. It was like a lot of really good people that were there, and it was just a fun environment. And the girls had squirt guns in there, like they're trying to shoot, the people in the boats that are driving by, and they're like, "Come on, get us!" And yeah, it's neat. If if you ever had a chance, I'd say definitely go out there, rent a boat.
Looks
Uh,
really cool.
yeah, it's pretty
Gorgeous.
good.
Seeing some cool
And then
sunset
we
pics.
go up to in south of Flagstaff. Yeah, south of Flagstaff, like half hour or whatever. Um, we go up there. We go camping up there 2, 3 times a year. And that's pretty nice up there. It's
That's a beautiful
decent
area.
weather, beautiful scenery. That's pretty good.
Hmm. I love that. I love the ecology out that way. Just you just got the beautiful, beautiful scenery, and yeah, I mean, there's something so wild about it.
You know, you could probably take some decent photography or videos of like the monsoons out here.
Or
Oh yeah.
soon.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look up an Arizona monsoon. Oh yeah. It's yeah. Arizona monsoon is dude, it is no joke. It is like windy, of course, sand or not monsoon. I'm sorry, the haboobs, the Arizona haboobs. But it happens during monsoon season. Like just these big dust storms that blow through. And usually they'll start from the east side and come west during that time of
Wow.
year. And they're just like, it's huge, just like this
Did you watch
wall
the
of
first
dust.
Dune movie?
What's that?
Did you watch the first Dune movie?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, a
that
lot.
scene
Yeah, a lot like that. Yeah. Yeah,
that is
driving
for
through there.
real.
When I used to have a motorcycle, I drove through there and it was just like getting sandblasted. It hurt.
Huh.
Especially going like 50, 60 miles an hour. You're like, oh, okay, that stings a little bit.
I have to apologize to the directors of Dune because I was like, oh, that's a little too much. That looks fake. But now I realize that it's actually real.
Oh yeah. It
That's
gets um the what do you call it? The distance you can see. Um it gets pretty bad out here. And
and
it
it's
gets
not
so like
dangerous.
scary, weird, dark, like a almost yellow, like as it comes through. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Is it
neat.
dangerous or is it just kind of a nuisance?
Is it dangerous? Yeah, I mean, because of the wind, it can, depending on how powerful it is, it'll take out some trees sometimes, take some shingles off. Yeah, I mean, the monsoon season or the monsoon weather that we get is, man, that can be fun. We got hail at one time and it destroyed so many cars in the, like, it was like, I mean, we get hail all the time, but like we were getting
Really?
like or golf ball size hail. And it was just like taking out cars in the car dealerships. And then cars were on sale. Cars were definitely on sale after that. You're like, oh, all right,
Yeah,
this
damage
is damaged.
cars.
Gotcha. Thanks. Thanks for selling me a very dented piece of crap. I actually saw one like last week driving, and you could see all dent marks all over it. So I was like, oh, I didn't know those cars still existed. Good for you, buddy. Good for you. Yeah, driving it around.
Keep it going. Proud of it. Hey man, if you can get a hail damaged car for cheap, I'm a cheap ass, so
Yeah. Do you remember? Okay, so I have two childhood memories to bring up with you.
let's do it.
Um, Technically, I mean, we were 16 or 17 at the time. All right. God, I hope you remember this. This is one of my funniest memories from driving, like young years. So I think we were working at McDonald's at the time. You came in, Water Street McDonald's. Hey, um, you came in and you were embarrassed because you got beaten by two little old ladies in a car. Like you guys were racing, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got beat by that same car. It was hysterical. I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way. I mean, it was a smallish town. Like, what were we, 60,000?
Fifty
Yeah. I was
thousand,
like,
sixty
there's no
thousand,
way.
somewhere in
And
there.
we were telling each other what the kind of car was, and the ladies were like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. Yeah, they destroyed us.
I totally forgotten about that.
Oh my God, it was terrible. Yeah.
Those days were crazy.
Yeah. So the other thing, so we were, some friends and I, we were sitting around kind of like a fire the other night, gas fireplace. And do you remember? So, disclosure, this is not, I'm not telling anybody to go out and do this, okay? There's kids I know that probably watch this. So do not do this, okay? This was dangerous. It was a dumb idea. It was a lot of fun. We went train hopping.
Oh yeah,
It was you,
that
me, and I
night.
think Keith. Remember this?
Yeah. That
So I was
night is
telling them the
burned in my
story
memory.
of how we jumped on the train. It stopped. We jumped off. And I'm not going to tell anybody where it was because I don't want anybody to do it. But the train started up
Hmm.
again. We jumped back on. And so we're riding this train and we're going across this bridge. And it was beautiful. Like the moonlight was coming down.
Hmm.
You could see it reflecting off the river. And then I think it was you, and you go, there's people over on the other side. And we're like, oh shit. And so we
They were
quickly, you guys
they
went
were
to the other side,
cars.
and I just jumped right there, and I almost fell
I
off the
remember
bridge, and
that.
then we took off the opposite way. And it was one, it was scary and exhilarating all at the same time. Um, but yeah, that was probably one of my all-time
Well,
favorite
so yeah,
moments
when
back then.
you got off on the train, and there was like no space, and you were running back the other way across the bridge,
Yeah.
and then we jumped off the other side of the bridge because the cars were on this side. We hopped off that side and just basically dove down and like tumbled down this
Oh,
ravine. And I
that's right.
remember Keith was knocked out because we tumbled like down this hill,
Yeah,
boom,
yeah.
boom, 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 and and so he woke up eventually. And then we ended up circling back around. And do you remember we spent like the rest of the night avoiding
Everything.
everybody to get back to where we were staying. And I'll never forget, we snuck back into the house. And
Oh
the
yeah.
next morning, do you remember Keith's mom?
Oh my gosh, what did she say?
She would listen to the police scanner all night.
That's right. That's right. Oh my gosh.
We got up and we were sitting at breakfast. She's like, man, there was some kids running around hopping trains last night. Do you guys know anything about that? No.
Oh
No, that's
man.
crazy.
Wow.
Who would do
Brand
that?
new information. That's awesome. Yeah. Man, those are
Oh,
times.
that was an
I don't really hear
adventure.
a lot of like my kids are, maybe I'm too hard of a parent on them. I don't know, but they don't really go out and do anything crazy like that. Although, I mean, some of our friends have like a golf cart and whatever, and they'll cruise around in the golf cart. So,
Hmm.
you know, maybe they're doing dumb stuff that I don't want to know about until I'm older, anyways. Um, but yeah, it's certainly it's
So,
different
as
now.
a
That's for
as a
sure.
parent, does that are you happy not are you happy not knowing about the dumb stuff until they're older and grown, and then you're talking
I
about
think
it
so.
later?
I
Yeah.
think so because like I want my kids to tell me things for sure, but at the same time, I want them to experience life. Um,
Hmm.
like I actually, and Vanessa really did not appreciate this either, but I had to tell the kids, I'm like, I need you to push back on me. Like if I'm coming at you and I'm wrong, like you need to come back at me. You need to tell me I'm wrong because I need you to stand up for yourself in life. Like if you just listen to me all the time and everything I say is right, then once you leave this house, you're going to be a lost little, you know, you're just going to be lost. And it doesn't really work. And so now they're very, very, very opinionated on their, you know, push back on me. So sometimes I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Just because you can push back doesn't mean you need to beat the crap out of me about it. You know, chill out a little bit. I am, you know, I'm still the dad. I'm still the parent here.
Yeah. Right.
So,
So I imagine it's interesting to try to find that line of where, like, yeah, we I want you to express yourself, but at some point the line, like, there is an element I imagine of because I said so.
yo, oh my
This is
gosh,
crazy.
I hate saying that, but I've said it a few times. Like,
I mean,
why?
not literally,
Because
but
I
you
said
know,
so, and that's just how it is right now. And I need you to trust me. Let's do it so we can move on with the day. Then you can question me later when everything's calmed down. But right now, let's get it done. Yeah,
yeah,
dude, it's wild. I don't
yeah.
know.
I don't envy that. I think, but I mean, I think it's fascinating. I mean, it's really fascinating to to watch those kids grow, to try to figure out. As I think when we're kids, I think we think that the parents just have all the answers.
Hmm.
And even when they're wrong, they're the adults. So you kind of, even if you disagree with it, you kind of like just
Lean into it
assume
a
that
little
they know
bit.
what they're doing. But I don't know. I mean, just talking to my parents, I realized that they were just kind of always figuring it out as they went.
Yeah.
And you don't know. Is
Well,
that
it's
scary sometimes? Like,
there's
are
some
you going to?
situations that repeat themselves with kids, right? Um, and so that makes it easier to deal with. Otherwise, every situation that they're going through is very unique to them. And as a parent, it's unique to me as well because I don't know how they're going to react. And so my parenting definitely depends on how are they reacting? What's the situation? Should I be pissed for them? Should I calm them down? And I think a lot of times what I've found lately is, and this is what I struggle in doing because I'm a parent where I want to instantly resolve something. I want to instantly solve it. And I've had to kind of scale that back a little bit to where I'm like, okay, let them sort out their feelings first. Like, and then I'll sort out mine too. I'll calm down. And then we can meet up and be like, hey, everything good now? Like, let's talk it through a little bit. Here's how you were feeling. Here's how I was feeling. And then you kind of come to an accord and move on.
Right. Now, I think guys generally, not to stereotype everybody, but generally want to solve it. And I've noticed with my wife, she'll talk to me about something, and I'll just be like, "Oh, I'll give her helpful suggestions. Oh, you do this and this." But I don't think that's what she really needs
That's
sometimes.
what she doesn't need at the time. Yeah.
I think she just needs me to listen. And I'm in my late 40s, and I'm just slowly coming to realize that I'm working on it. But so I think to the point, I think you're saying it's a little bit the same sometimes with kids too, right? You got to kind of let them work it out, and where it's not everything needs to be solved right away.
That's funny you say that. My wife and I we kind of have similar conversations where the one will start venting, it doesn't matter who, and the other one's like, what kind of listening do you need me to do? Do you need me to give you some
Oh,
feedback? Like, is this
right.
advice? Or are you just venting and you just need like a sounding board essentially? So that helps a lot up until the person's just, up at that level and they don't even know what they want. Like, I'm very good at that. And
I need all of it.
once I get going, my sister in law says I have ADHD because I'll just start talking and then I'll go all the way around the whole rainbow of topics. And she's like, "Did you ever get an answer to your first question?" I'm like, "I don't even know." Like, it is what it is.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. But you know what's
That's
funny
great.
is I do so much. I fix so much crap around the house, like by myself, instead of calling a professional. And so I'll try to
Are
talk it
you
out with,
YouTube
yeah. I'll try
tinkerer?
to talk out my idea with Vanessa, and she's like, I I don't even I have no idea what the crap you're talking about. And I'm like, no, here's my idea. Like, here's a problem, and here's my idea of a solution. Do you think that's going to work? Yeah, probably. Sounds good. Ship shape.
Go for it.
All right, thanks.
So my wife got a new job working in a nursery, and she's been taught. I don't know why. I don't have a head for plants. I've always wanted to be interested in plants, but just be honest,
Yeah.
frankly, they don't interest me, and I want to be interested in them. I'd love to learn like forage and plant properties, but I can't. Like I just can't. But she's been so inspired, she's so happy to be working this job, and she's learning so much about plants. She's come home telling me about plant stuff, and I thought to myself the other day, this must be what she feels like when I talk about motorcycles and photography and shark behavior.
Yeah. Yep. See, I don't get to tell
Okay.
anybody about my job because, quite honestly, nobody gives a crap about my stupid job. They're like, yeah, that's boring. I don't want to hear about it. And I'm like, that's good because I normally don't want to talk about it. Like, the only thing I really care about is like, and I try to talk about it to show how interesting it is because there's parts of it that are interesting. But then after I get past that, I'm like, no, it's very boring job, which I I'm thankful I have it. Don't get me wrong, but at any point in time, like the business side of the company I work for, at any point in time says, you know what, we don't need them anymore. We're good. We got it. And I'd be like, all right, you're done. Like, thanks, appreciate it.
Well, it sounded pretty interesting to me, honestly. I
Yeah,
mean, well, having never worked in that world, it sounds kind of cool to me.
yeah. It's I definitely learned a lot. Like all the like all the agreements you sign like on an application, let's say Facebook or whatever, and you're going through and you're agreeing to, you're giving them your firstborn child and your blood type and you're signing your life away.
You is
So because of all that in my job, I actually understand the ins and outs and the details of all that. And it's interesting and scary at the same time. Um, and I still sign all that crap for the most part, even though I know like you have all my privacy. Yeah, yeah, here it is. Here's whatever you need. Here it is.
It's crazy how mundane it is, isn't it?
Yeah,
Just like here, sign away a bunch of your rights so you can use our app
so
and
you
our
can use their
platforms
app.
and our ecosystem. And I sign it too. I know at a high level what's in there, and I'm just like, oh, I trust you. Go ahead.
Right.
I don't trust them, but
No, not at all. But enough to where, it should be fine. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
hopefully I'll get a letter being involved in some big class action lawsuit, and I'll just have to sign my name up, and then they'll go litigate it, and I'll get a check
Yeah.
someday.
You know what's funny? I don't know how my mind went to this, and I have not dug into the story, but I saw a story or a news article, whatever it was, come out, and it was some company is developing, I don't know if they're called humanoids. I don't know what you want to call them, but essentially, like, it's almost like they're developing like a lifeless body that they can use, I think, maybe for human parts, maybe. I don't like it. Essentially,
Oh,
like it's,
like harvesting like kidneys and
yeah,
like
something like that. Like again, I
livers.
didn't dig into the story very deep, and I was reading. I was like, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to come back to that.
Hmm.
But it reminded me of the movie. You remember The Island with Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson? It was a while back, like maybe early 2000s. But
I'm so bad with movies. I
I
don't
know,
watch a
yeah,
lot of them. I'm horrible. Like I have another friend that watches movies all the time. He's like, "Oh, did you ever see that?" And at least once every time I see him, he'll, "Did you see that?" And he's like, "Yeah, you've never seen that? You're crazy." I just don't watch a lot of
you're
movies.
busy. You got
No, I
ocean
like
dives to do.
movies. I like movies a lot. I just
Yeah. Now I
I
see.
never.
I have a theory that I think movies that or not that we've created, but like people have made and developed and created. I think a lot of them, for whatever reason, like are slowly coming true. Like the Jurassic Park. When in my first episode, I talked to the girls about the woolly mouse. I don't know if you heard about that. This company is like re-engineering. They're trying to do the woolly mammoth, and
Oh, okay,
so they're starting with a mouse, and they made it into like a woolly mouse, and it's a cute little thing. And I'm like, okay, so now you're going to do the dinosaurs. Well, there's Jurassic Park, and now the
right.
humanoid thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, there's that. And it's very interesting to watch all these ideas that are movies start to become reality. And you're like, oh, okay,
Right.
well, when do you say no? Maybe let's not try that idea.
Well, at the same time, I mean, science fiction, reality, it's kind of funny to go back in like some watch some old 80 movies, 80s movie and watch what they thought technology would look like in the year 2000 something.
Yeah,
And it looks absolutely
it's
ridiculous.
nothing like it.
Totally misses the mark. And CRT screens are long gone. And the technology is way more advanced in some ways and much less noble and cool looking.
Yeah, right.
It's a little box you put in your hand and you stare at it all day.
Man, that is so true. That is funny.
But at the same place, yeah, you've got a lot of these themes with, Jurassic Park, and then there's, just some of the science. Well, I think a lot of that is science fiction, basically, especially science fiction movies where, you know, it has a tradition going back a long time. Asimov and, a lot of those folks that, they're thinking ahead as to what some of these issues, and a lot of times they think about kind of the moral issues and the existential issues that kind of come along with technology. And I think, obviously, a lot of those kind of are bound to come true as technology advances, which, like I said, maybe not. Let's think about some of this stuff.
You know.
Like this AI thing, I think AI is kind of both scary and incredibly fun. I listened to this financial
I was
podcast.
trying to figure out where I landed on that. I think I said 60-40. I'm 60% scared and then 40% interested slash fun. Yeah.
Right now, it's mostly, as far as I can tell, it's mostly kind of a value add
Right now,
to
yeah.
stuff that we're putting a lot on a value add to kind of drive the economy. kind of a good way is if we get, and I'm just going to come out, I like nuclear, the idea of nuclear energy. I've kind of been a fan of
Right.
developing that because modern nuclear reactors are much cleaner. Now you see a lot of these rich investors who are backing AI, they're backing a lot of nuclear. So that's actually for the first time in decades, a lot of this stuff is moving and the technology is moving at the same time. I think we got kind of this moment of confidence where we actually might get some cleaner energy.
That'd be interesting.
I think, so that might be a good side effect at the end of the day. We'll see.
You know, that would be. You think they would develop that for cars? I
Nuclear?
would hope. Or do you think
Well,
they'd
I
just
mean,
do away with cars and come up with a more like mass transit type thing with it? Oh, now my dogs are going to start barking.
I mean,
Hold on a second. I'm going to pause real quick. Hold on. All right, we're back. I know we were talking about nuclear power and like cars, and I was kind of asking if you thought the like cars would actually go down that route. I kind of hope
as
so.
far as, I mean, from produced electricity, I think it'll make the transition to electric cars much easier
Yeah.
as long as the grid can support it. To be honest, I mean, you need a
Do
lot
you think
of.
AI is going to like help fast forward that type of whether you want to call it alternative fuel or whatever?
I think so. I mean, I think we don't really know what AI is going to do. I think it is an incredibly powerful technology, but if you look back, I like to compare it in my mind at least to the tech bubble of the 2000s, 1999, 2000.
Let me hear.
So,
How's that?
so in that time, I mean, I was really interested in this stuff. I was kind of a geek, but everybody was, late 90s, the internet was just becoming a place. You go
Oh
surf
yeah,
the
sure.
internet, get your AOL, and go surf the
AOL.
internet with your disc, and you plug in dial up, what is it, 56K modem, and it
Yeah.
was a
Oh
new
yeah.
world. And surfs up, dude, this fun internet. But every company was just throwing money, and I think it was it IBM or AT&T that threw tons of money into infrastructure to lay fiber and cable all over the United States. Just money was coming in, and everyone was like, "This is going to
Right.
change." It's got
That's exciting.
pets.com and all this stuff, and all that money coming in, and they knew it was going to be transformative. Nobody knew it was going to be transformatory. Nobody knew where it was going to land.
Right.
But so all this investment got put in, and it turned out that companies were putting .com at the end of their names to go on the stock market. And their stock would just go up because they put
The dot
.com on the
com
end of the
era.
name. And
Oh
this was
yeah.
all happening, and the stock crashed out in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like December 2000, and everybody just bailed out and said, "Oh, this is just you know money just kind of flew out of it." Well, it turns
Man,
out that
companies overnight were going just
between
bankrupt. It was awesome. Not
yeah,
awesome, but
2000 and 2008, a lot of that infrastructure started getting used a little bit more and more as
yeah.
people and legitimate companies that were actually building more were starting to catch on at exactly what this whole thing and product was going to look like. And then 2008 comes out, and I think that was the year the iPhone came out,
Oh okay.
and that transformed the world. And the internet just hasn't looked back, and it's become ubiquitous. I think AI is going to be a little bit of the same thing. We got all this investment coming in and all this
Right. Right.
infrastructure. They're even starting to talk about building power plants and how many gigawatts each country produces and all that
Sure.
stuff
Yeah.
to power this hungry monster. But nobody knows where it's going to go. I think it's, 15 years from now, it's going to change our lives in some ways for the
Mm-hmm.
better, for worse. I don't know because it's not going back in the box. But
No.
if
Yeah. It's
anybody
definitely
tells you
not
they
going back
know,
in the box.
if anybody tells you they know what it's going to look like, they're full of crap, I think.
Hmm.
Because we just don't know where it's going to develop and what it's going to be useful for. I think that's why I feel like this is kind of that kind of technology like the internet was back at that time, where this infrastructure is going to end up paying off because a lot of the research and development will end up paying off 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the line.
Sure.
But we just don't know what it's going to look like.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
I like that. That's a good take. That's pretty good.
yeah, and everybody's got theories, and when it first came out, the guys at OpenAI were talking about, well, this technology is dangerous because there's actually a chance it could take over the world. But it's kind of like them, like low key marketing, like how powerful AI was.
Right. How far? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, you ask AI to pull up a recipe in it.
Yeah.
tells you to eat glue, like put some glue in it. It's not exactly prime time yet. It is getting better, faster, but
Yeah. I as long as they, I guess, handle it responsibly. Like it's and right, that's the whole key point, right? Responsible. Like,
yeah.
but I mean, like if you don't create it for, let's say, war, right? Like keep out of the destruction business, and I think you're fine. Like let's just maybe go with let's help humanity instead of, and I don't mean help like control humanity. I mean, let's help us out a little bit.
Mm.
But we'll see how it goes. I don't know.
I mean, I see a lot of little small scale kind of benefits, but in my opinion, on the grand scale, I don't see, I don't see any real large
Yeah.
benefits at
Do
this
you
point.
use Chat GTP, whatever it is, the chat
The-
functions?
I've used that. I've used some Gemini stuff too, and I use a little bit Copilot, and I use it for giving me some copyright editing suggestions. I'll write something, or I'll have it just kind of pull something up and do kind of bases of things, but I don't rely on it to do it, and I don't trust it to do much beyond that. And I know there's a lot of power users that are using it AI
Yeah.
first in your company, and you got to use it, but it's not reliable enough at this point. It will be maybe.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. I got a
All
little.
right.
You? Are you using it at all?
Am I what? Do I
Using it?
use it at all? Oh,
Hmm.
I don't. I don't even know if I've actually ever used it. Um, my wife uses it. I think I may have typed one question into it on like her computer that she was doing whatever just to see what it does. It's interesting. Like it's really cool how almost instantaneously it will pop up that information. You're like, okay,
Well,
that's pretty
I think where it
impressive.
starts to get powerful is where you got the concept of agents.
Yeah.
So, for example, Copilot has which is Microsoft's product.
Oh
You
yeah.
could build an agent to tell it. So this agent, it's just, how do I explain it? It's like a virtual little person that can do a task for you. So instant, you can
Right.
build an agent that can
Yeah.
say,
It's like
okay,
automation.
yeah, go into my email every day and then pull out the top emails and summarize them for me,
Hmm.
and just give me that so I don't have to go through my emails anymore. Now, that can be a time saver. It's really interesting, but I'm not sure I'm at the place where I mean, I'd have to use it for quite a while to make sure I trust it to not miss something important or to
Yeah.
hallucinate something. And there's, different types of things you can do, and you can interact and hook up with different applications. So there's a application that that we use in the construction industry. You can basically build an agent to go and work with teams and connect to this kind of software so you can go and kind of ask it about your construction projects. Like ask it, okay, this project, how's my budget? How are we doing on budget hours for this? And they'll go and talk to that and get it out and pull it out and spit it out what you got for your budget. This is a pretty cool concept and a good time saver. I don't know if it's essentially going to change my life. Maybe I'm just not being
Hmm.
creative enough, but yeah, some things that are possible with it.
Yeah. I use. I will say, and I don't know that it's AI. I guess probably somewhere embedded in it. It probably is, but I definitely use it as organization in my job for like meetings, like everything that's coming up. Like I'll quickly like, oh well, yeah, because I'll ask it to do something, and then as I go forward, that's basically what it does. So yeah, I
Hmm.
guess that's like an AI development that I do utilize. So yeah,
I think that.
as long as it stays helpful to me, I'm good.
Hmm.
Just stay off the you know stay off any human civilization path, and I think I'll be happy. Let's not end civilization as we know it. That'd be cool.
Strike against AI. Have you seen the ads, the AI slop ads that are, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who gets them, and I got some weird profile that tracks to me, but it'll be like some AI art and AI voice saying he was starts out he was afraid to be in the locker room because starts telling some story about how he doesn't want the other kids to see that he's a vampire in school because he's always getting picked on, and then it goes on. And if you just watch it, it tells this random slop story with slop art. I don't even know what the point of these ads are. You ever
Right,
seen
right.
those? You ever? Or like
I
there's the
received
one
similar, but not quite like that. Yeah.
boo
It's following
AI.
all of your searches and everything, and it says, you know what, this is what he would like in front of him right now.
I'm not into vampires.
I don't remember who I was telling it. Maybe my sister-in-law. I don't remember, but we were talking kind of about that. Like, I think my search functions. Like, I think like Instagram is very confused on what to show me
What you
because
like?
like it's like, oh, he likes to watch food and like, you know, fill in the blank, whatever. And then it's like, and you know what, we're going to show him half naked women videos. I'm like, how did you get to that one? Like, where did I go? Like, okay, I did watch a couple workout videos, I guess. Yeah, that, sure. I'm like, yeah, way to really get me on that one. Appreciate it.
I got a friend and he was showing me some on Instagram and his Instagram feed is just attractive women.
Yeah. And you're like,
Just that's all
okay.
it is.
And no matter how much you put not interested, you're like, you know what? We'll try harder. We'll send you different ones. Like,
Yeah.
thanks for getting me. Appreciate that. Good job.
That's fun.
All right. Well, Bill, I will. Do you have any questions? Do you have anything for me?
Mm-mm.
All right,
No, when you coming up to North Carolina?
man. My sister and I were actually talking about that. Man, I'd love to come out. How far is North Carolina from Philadelphia? We're going out there in summer. It's probably a ways, huh?
What was that?
How far is it from Philadelphia? It's got to be a ways.
No, exactly. I don't think it's that.
I bet it's like 3 4 hours.
I think it's more like I think it's more than that, but
Yeah.
it's just on a day drive, I think.
Maybe I'll
But
figure out a weekend next year, or not next year, but I mean like after the summer.
well, one of my things is now I've made it a mission in my life to see what is it? What do you call it? The Haboob?
Oh yeah, Haboob. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, like
Yeah, you
that is
absolutely should. It's pretty awesome.
amazing. Those storms are something,
Yeah,
and
it's like I think there's like 2 or 3 places in the world where it actually comes in like that. And like obviously Arizona. And then I don't remember the other 2 places. Could be the Moab for all I know. I don't know.
find it amazing. That is so cool. So
Yeah.
now I want to see that. But
It's
yeah,
pretty interesting though. But yeah, no, I'm hopefully like I'm gonna try to travel more like on weekends, like extended weekends or whatever, just to, like, I don't know, go somewhere. The girls are getting old enough to where whether they stay somewhere for the weekend or somebody comes stays with them and it's Vanessa and I can actually get away and,
that's cool.
you know, hang out with just us. So that's kinda nice.
Oh, beyond that, the only thing I have is thank you for having me. I
And
hope.
no,
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming on. Yeah, I wrote down a list a while back of like some, and there's a lot of my friends and whatever that I want to talk to, but like your
Can I
photography,
tell
I
a
was
story?
like,
Actually,
yeah,
I wanted to kind of do. Do we have just a second to go down memory lane for a second?
yeah, go ahead, yeah, for sure, man.
So one of my memories when I think of you, because we obviously grew up together and pretty close, is I remember when you would we get off the phone and that time it was the old corded phone and you'd be like, hey,
Oh
come
yeah,
on over, let's do sleepover or something. I remember it just being the best feeling popping up. So I lived way up on top of the hill and over across the river. I'd
yeah,
get on my bike and just pop down and hop down those. I just remember the feeling of driving down those hills and then taking a
oh
right,
yeah,
driving down the other hill and then getting down to going cutting across downtown and going over the river and just
yeah.
paddling my butt off, going over to my buddy's Chet's to go sleep over and hang out with you guys and just whatever and just in anticipation of whatever craziness would happen.
Dude,
Um,
that was grand. Yeah, Lake
yeah,
Montclair, man, that was
I
good
can
times.
remember the ride on my bike like it was yesterday because
Yeah,
just going
man,
down.
those were, yeah, those were epic times, man.
Hmm.
Those were epic times. We went. My sister and I went back to Eau Claire for one of our Scott, one of our friends. His dad passed, and we actually went to downtown Eau Claire. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's where I used to go up to Bill's house right over there, and I'd like bike up there and then bike fly down that hill. And she's like, you did? I was like, oh yeah, so much fun.
That was the
That's
best
pretty
show.
funny. It's awesome. Yeah. No,
And
I appreciate that.
yeah, and I'm
That's cool.
surprised the subject, and if it's off limits, you can cut this out. But your brotherly method of greeting others.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of moonings going on in our world. There were absolutely a lot of moonings going on
Yeah,
in
it
our
was
world.
like a thing every day. You just had to watch out. It was turn around and there's someone mooning you.
That's how you knew you were part of the family or family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you knew you made it when
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
the
Yeah.
brothers would moon you.
People walking in the house like this.
Yep. I forgot about that. Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, like no, 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 you're not getting me.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's hysterical.
Oh Lord,
Too funny.
so many good memories in that house, and yeah, I'm glad that you had me on today,
Yeah.
and I hope that your audience enjoys it. This is my first time. I've never done anything like this
No, you're
before,
good,
so
man. I appreciate it. Yeah.
excuse
I
me
don't
if
need, I'll tell you, I don't even know how many people actually watch or listen to this, but I keep getting good feedback. So I assume
okay,
people are watching.
okay,
So yeah.
go
Yeah.
get
But
it,
no.
and good luck with your podcast.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. All right, man. Talk to you later. Thanks, Bill.
Don't be a stranger. Bye.
All right. Bye.